Michelle Goldblum is the CEO and founder of I Am Creative, a full-service brand development, strategy, design, marketing, and advertising agency specializing in the mind, body, spirit, wellness, self-improvement, and self-empowerment space. She is also the co-founder of Soul Camp, an adult sleepaway camp for the soul. Michelle's clientele consists of those people who are spreading messages of transformation, empowerment, and oneness. She is proud to stand behind the brands of more than 150 life, health, and relationship coaches, empowerment authors and speakers, holistic health practitioners, fitness instructors, yoga instructors, and psychologists. A former brand strategist for global pharmaceutical brands and marketing campaigns, Michelle works with her clients from concept development through to execution of their brand, website, program, event, or offerings. Okay. Hi, Prana Boosters. I want to welcome you to this episode of Prana Boost Radio. And my guest Prana Booster today is the beautiful Michelle Goldblum. Hi.
Hey. Hi.
I'm so excited to connect with you and share space with you and just get to know you a little better and introduce you to our audience.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm very grateful. It's amazing to learn about all the wonderful things you are doing to inspire and Prana Boost the world. So as the founder and CEO of your agency, I Am Creative, you're supporting thought leaders and sharing their messages and building their brands. And in addition to that greatness, you're the co-founder of Soul Camp, which I think is just so cool. I've never heard of anything like it before. An adult sleepaway camp experience to help people reconnect with themselves. So the very first thing I was going to ask you is, I would like to know when you have time to sleep. Do you sleep? Because that sounds like a lot of life-changing things you're doing over there.
Yeah, that's a question many people ask me. I do sleep. I'm so lucky and so grateful to have an amazing team, that works with me. And so it's not just me running the ship. I have incredible, employees, an incredible team. So I do sleep for sure. I'm a little tired right now. I flew in from Colorado yesterday and I'm like kind of all over the place time-wise. But I definitely take time for self-care. I definitely take time to go away and completely disconnect, which is what I did over the past few days on a mountain in Colorado, because I just know how important that is. Otherwise, I would, I just wouldn't be able to be connected to myself, connected to my clients. So it definitely is important, but it's very funny. It's a question that my mom, most of all, asks me, when are you sleeping? When do you sleep?
Right.
But yes, I definitely I do.
Your mom's probably like, I don't get it. I don't understand how you do all this stuff. But yeah, that's so amazing. I know it takes a lot out of you to travel, but you probably had a really good, nice time away and everything. And I would imagine you would kind of get in a little bit of trouble because you're involved with all these self-help and coach type of people, right? So they probably would never let you do that to yourself, even if you tried.
Totally. I'm so, I have such amazing clients, and they all lead, retreats and different yoga events and different, all different things. And so I'm always able to go to one of those things to kind of rejuvenate, with open arms. But sometimes I completely need to leave this world altogether. So no yoga, no nothing, just get me out on a mountain with someone who knows nothing about this world at all, because my whole life is this world, so sometimes I just need to leave it altogether to kind of remember.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I like to call that prana boosting. So that's what you were doing on that mountain over there, right?
Totally prana boosting. The mountain is my happy place. I always say the happiest place in the world for me by far is going down a ski mountain. That's just go skiing down a mountain in solitude with so much space without my cell phone. It's that is such a happy place for me. So I'm so lucky that I get to be able to do it. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I grew up in Chicago, so I'm used to cold weather and snow, and But I've lived in, on the West Coast for a long time now. And even with my girls, we haven't really taken them. They haven't really experienced snow too much, and then we haven't taken them skiing or anything like that. I do remember going skiing. I was very inexperienced. So I do remember I was standing at some point. I'm short, so I had a hard time getting off the ski lift. I do remember that.
Yeah.
And then I do remember just kind of falling forward with my face in the snow. But I do remember having fun. But I think after that I said something like, sure, I'll go skiing if that means hot chocolate and watching the skiers.
Right.
But that's amazing that you're going from New York and your choice is to go and ski and be in the cold still.
Well, let me tell you, it was so much warmer in Colorado. It's 3 degrees here in New York. It's crazy. It is like the Arctic tundra.
Wow.
Outside. I was just walking the streets with my friend Nitika and Allie. It was like your face freezes. You can't even talk. It's so cold. It was significantly warmer in Colorado. But yeah, New York is like a tundra right now. It is so freezing cold. It's crazy.
That's crazy. And I always tell my parents, my dad actually still lives in Chicago. But I always tell them, I always say, sometimes I think that it would be nice if I lived there, or, and my mom's like, you never bundled up kids in the snow. You never had to, protect them from the weather or anything like that. So she's like, I don't think you mean what you say. And and my dad always tells the joke. He was like, my face hurts. And he's like, why do I live in a place where my face hurts? I don't know. But
totally.
Yeah. So I know I can hardly relate because we usually FaceTime and we're like at the park and bike riding, and you almost forget, my birthday's in January and it was always winter, but then as an adult it's always, like palm trees and sunny. So it's quite an adjustment, but I'm so happy you found what works for you, because that's what's so important for all of us. And sometimes you have to step away from the self-growth and the self-help and the connection, and really just be connected.
Right? That's such a good quote. I was just going to say that. Such a good tweetable. Yeah. Because it's so wonderful to have a whole life that is so overflowing with all of this work. And, I'm like in my room right now looking, I have like a pile of books up to the ceiling of like books that all my friends have written. And like, it's just so awesome that this is like my life all the time. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes you just need to completely disconnect from all of the connecting in order to really connect. So true.
Yes, absolutely. I find that that's important for me too. I have the books stacked up as well. I have 500 to 700 books, something.
There you are. I don't know what happened.
It's so funny. I'm holding my like crystal in my left hand, and I'm all like, you're gonna have to use everything because you're gonna have to be calm and just go with it and surrender to the technology. So totally. I gotta follow some of my own advice, right?
Yeah.
So
hopefully you can edit that out too.
Right. We can just edit that out later. Yeah. Or we can leave it and call it bloopers. Okay.
Totally.
Maybe it's a spirit coming through, somebody who's trying to get our attention or something like that.
Yeah.
So share with me, if you would, more about how you came to create these soul-based career options, right? Like, tell me a little bit more about having your own spiritual wake-up call.
I would love to. So, I grew up in this world. So my mom, I come from a very interesting background. My father is like very type A, very, go, do, very traditional, conservative. And my mom is like a fiery, like butterfly of joy. She's a psychotherapist, but when she left my dad and married my stepfather, they created a very big spiritual retreat center. And so we would have events going on all the time. We would have like Eva Pramal and Mitten, who are, kirtan singers, sleeping over my house. And it was I would have goddess groups like going on when I came back from school. Like, it was all the time. And growing up, it was like, oh, this is so weird. I don't want to be a part of this. Like, that's really how it was, just like, this is too much. Everything was vegetarian. It was before all of that was cool. So I ran from that world, and I, went to a very ritzy college and began a career in pharmaceutical branding and marketing. So I was living in New York City, and I was working for Merck and Pfizer and like all this world of pharma, big pharma, and helping develop huge global brands. So like, what do we want the people in Latin America versus North America to think and feel about this insulin? And I was in a serious relationship, and we lived together, and I owned an apartment on the Upper West Side, and we were getting married, and it was this whole life. And then I woke up, and had this very intense, like, this is wrong. Like, this isn't the life that I'm supposed to have. And within a year, really, me and Kevin, my boyfriend at the time, Kevin moved out of our apartment, and I went to this holistic retreat center that I grew up going to in the summertime called Omega. And my friend was like, let's not be here when Kevin's moving out. Let's just go. There's a woman there. She talks like you about your inner child and the universe. Like, let's just go. So I went, and I found Patricia Moreno, who teaches a class, a movement called Intensati, which is a mind, body, spirit class that's taught all over the country. And I all of a sudden left New York City, was immersed in this weekend with 30 other women like me, not like my mom's spirituality drumming group goddess circle, but like women just like me. And it woke me up to like, oh my gosh, like I could live a life that has these aspects, but like isn't, off on a nature preserve in a drumming circle. And I met all of these women. I met Patricia. I always say to her, you've changed my life forever, and it's just so funny because now it's just the roles are a little reversed, and like I get to invite her to come to Soul Camp, and it's just really awesome. But she changed my life totally. And I came back from that weekend, and within a year, I quit my job, sold my apartment, went off to India on a Groupon by myself, came back, found oneness meditation, and started working. I mean, Patricia was the first person. Like, I remember I went to a Lululemon, and she was like my guru at this time. It was like, Patricia. And I went to an event that she did at Lululemon, and like no one was there. And I was mystified because this was like my guru. And I was like, who does your marketing? Who does your branding? And she was like, you do? So I started doing marketing and branding for Patricia. And that's really how it all started. Once I quit my job and everything, I said to her, like, can you start like telling people about this? And so she would stand up in front of all of her classes at Equinox and just like say, Michelle Goldblum started a company.
Wow.
She did, she worked for Johnson & Johnson. Now she's speaking for us. So all of my clients at the beginning, were like Intensati instructors and fitness instructors. And it really just grew totally organically. Like, as I started finding more and more people in the wellness world, like, Patricia, I became Patricia's like brand ambassador. And like one day she was like, I'm going over my friend Gabby's house. I'm filming a video for her. Do you want to come? And I had no idea who anyone was at this point. Patricia was my only person. And I was like, sure, I'll go. She's like, you're like my brand ambassador. So I went to Gabby Bernstein's house and was able to like hang out with her and like be there for the day without like knowing that she had this like big thing and was this big following and like all of this stuff. And I came just as a friend of Patricia's, and Patricia was a teacher of Gabby's. And Gabby also looked at Patricia like, Patricia, because everyone does, really. And I was able to become good friends with Gabby, just like on a totally normal person-to-person level. And Gabby really helped me also a lot. Gabby, spread the word about my company, and I started helping Gabby out, and everything just really started growing totally organically. And then all of a sudden, I started like getting calls from people whose like books that I had read. And then all of a sudden I became, very best friends with the head of publicity over at Hay House. And Hay House started just sending me all of their people. So it was like, I never advertised. I never did anything. Everything was always just totally word of mouth. And it spread one person to one person to one person. And now at this point, we've seen over 200 amazing people, which is just so awesome and incredible. And that I get to do what I was doing for Pfizer and Merck, but do it for the life coach and the health coach and the nutritionist. It's like a dream come true. And my mom is like off in the wings, like jumping up and down, because like this is, this was her world. This is her world, totally. So like now she gets to come and like, just meet people that she also read and everything. It's just a really awesome full circle, I guess you could say. So that's how I Am Creative came to be. It was totally like I met Patricia Moreno. I woke up to the fact that like I could have a life that like was filled with spirituality, and it didn't mean that I had to like leave New York City or like, leave certain things and not do certain things. It just totally woke me up, and everything changed. Every time I think about it, I'm just like, oh my goodness, because everything so changed in an instant. And I Am Creative happened so quickly. And all of a sudden I have clients, and like I tell everyone, and let me just say, there's a whole, when I went into my boss's office and sat her down, because I, at that point, was moving up very, very quickly. And I sat her down and I said, Jessica, I am leaving. This is my 2 weeks notice. And I'm starting and she's like, well, where are you going? Like, obviously, like, what other competitor are you going to? And I was like, I'm starting an agency for life coaches. And I'll never forget, she literally was like, okay, what's going on in your life, Michelle? Like, she was like, you must be going crazy. Like you like what you just said to me, it sounds insane. And there's a big part of me that also believed that. Like, what am I doing? I've never owned a company before. I don't know any entrepreneurs. No one in my family was an entrepreneur. That wasn't like something, that like we did. I didn't know anything, but like there was a feeling in my heart. There was a feeling in my soul. It was so loud that said, this is what you're supposed to be doing. It was so loud that like I had to turn off my mind, like, because my mind was saying, this is crazy. You're not going to be successful. You have no idea how to run a company. We're in a recession. What are you doing? And I remember over and over just like stop listening to my thoughts, because my thoughts were saying, absolutely not. Do not do this. This is crazy. And I had a lot of people in my life at that time that agreed with me in that. But there was this feeling in my soul that was so strong. I can't even explain it. It was like, I just knew, like so strongly that I just knew. And so I was like, well, the worst thing that happens is like I fail and I go back to, corporate, and that's what happens. But I just so believe in taking belief if you're and listening to your soul. Like, people hear this voice and they call it their intuition, but it's like, no, that's your soul talking to you. Go or leave or stay or whatever it's saying. And I listened, and it was like the domino effect of wow, So that's how I Am Creative came to be.
God, Michelle, that's like the most amazing story that I have ever heard. That's unbelievable. And I think you're pretty psychic, if you want to know the truth, because as you were speaking, you pretty much were, you're pretty psychic, or my questions weren't that great. I don't know what's the difference, but you were like answering them like in the order that I wrote them. Like, I'm not joking. Like I said, I know how it feels to have a voice in your head whispering, and you were like, it wasn't even quiet. It wasn't even, I mean, it wouldn't have been accurate to say it was a whisper. And I said, you've heard that voice, and how did you have the courage to become an entrepreneur and leave the corporate lifestyle? And then I was going to tell you, last night I actually led a Prana Boost workshop, and the whole topic was excuses. And I was kind of talking about Wayne Dyer's book, Excuses Be Gone. And I said that, everybody has these excuses, and you were saying all those things that you were saying to yourself, all the excuses of why it wouldn't work. right? Which we all do. We're like, it's not going to work. And we have this whole long list of why we should not be listening to our intuition and, talking ourselves out of it. And then my next question was, did you have a support system or any negative input to overcome, and people that thought you were crazy? And you were like, yes, in fact, I did have all that. So you're pretty amazing. Wow, you're really good at this. I wonder if you can guess my next question. But that's I guess I didn't need a printout.
So funny that you're saying this, because right before this, I was with my Soul Camp business partner, Allie, and we had a whole agenda of like everything. She's so much better at that than me. She had a whole agenda of everything that we like needed to go over, because we're about to launch 2 camps, and it's like a very, very big launch and big deal, and there's like so much to do in preparation for it. So she had a whole agenda, and like I didn't even know, but she had it like in front of her, like on her computer screen. And I was just like saying, okay, now we need to talk about blah, blah, blah. And she was like, Michelle, you're psychic. You're going down the list. That just happened earlier today.
Oh my God.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm stepped into some...
I think we all are psychic, but I think that you got very connected on your mountain, and you have all that, fresh air. I don't know, you must be thinking really clearly. Yes, I'm trying to figure out if I have stuff, like on here that you didn't discuss yet. But I love your story.
And I didn't even talk about Soul Camp. And Soul Camp has been the big...
That's next. That was going to be next.
Of course.
What I was going to tell you is that, it's so interesting. I can relate because my husband and I have made video games. We've always worked together, and we've actually always been entrepreneurs, but I didn't grow up in this world. Like, I did not grow up with anybody reading anything that I read. In fact, I was literally in the spiritual closet, hiding my books in a closet. And if I took some out, whenever somebody would come over, especially my family or anybody that really knew me, I would hide them in the closet. So I literally was in the spiritual closet. And I was so alone. I mean, it was just my husband and I reading these books. So I didn't have any type of introduction to it. But we were doing video games, and I was just so not fulfilled, It was his purpose and his, dharma and his art. And I was really good at, promoting it and everything. And so in like 2008, I had this idea of trying to blend the two. I said, we have like the secret life, this like spiritual growth life. Why don't we mix the two? And we actually created a company called Conscious Arcade. And Conscious Arcade, you'll have to take a look at it later and let me know what you think. But it was sort of a molding of, our hearts and our souls together plus business. And I thought, listen, if we're going to be living this dream and living this lifestyle and walking this walk, I'm not going to build any video games for brands that I don't believe in and brands that I don't support and places like Burger King that I would never feed my child. So I said, I just can't do that anymore. It's not aligned with my spirit or my integrity. So we went to go do that, and we didn't actually get the response that I thought that we were going to get. I thought everyone's going to be like, yay, and I even offered people free games that we would make for them to promote their brands, and we couldn't get more than just a couple clients. So we started off pretty well, but we couldn't keep it going, which was interesting because it led me to, it still might be part of my vision of what I do, but it led me to create Prana Boost for us. So it's grown into its own, vision, but it's crazy how it happens like that, right? So we did websites and, brand identities and logos for years and stuff, but I love that you chose the niche of promoting people who are really following their life's path, and they're really aligned with what they're doing, and they're really aligned with who they're helping, and it's just so exciting to me. I'm so happy for you, and I'm happy that you did that. When you were talking, I don't know why, but I was thinking of this t-shirt that you or something, like a slogan or something, and I obviously, you probably thought of this already, but I just kept hearing pharma karma, like that there's so much karma related to the pharmaceutical industry, and I kept hearing, for some reason, I don't know why I kept hearing that. It was really funny. But anyway, yes, my next thing that I wanted to talk about was Soul Camp.
That is amazing. So Soul Camp is the biggest miracle, amazing, crazy, unbelievable, like conscious energy event vibration overload that I've ever known. It's the craziest thing. So I met my best friend, Allie, um, yeah, at Intensati, like at an Intensati flash mob in Washington Square Park. And she came up to me and was like, did you go to Camp Tawanda? And I went to sleepaway camp as a child, and so did she. We went to the same camp. She's a few years younger than me. So like in camp world, that's like a whole other planet. So I had no idea who she was. But she knew who I was because I was one of the older girls.
Oh.
So she came up to me, and we like, as soon as we met, we had this like weird, I can't even explain it, but like this weird like energy of like, I've known you forever. We grew up together. And like, even though we didn't, but we did. And so every time we're together, we have a group of girls, Nitika Chopra, and every time we're all in a group together, Allie and I always like would make everything a cheer. Would like Nitika hated it. Like Nitika like was so annoyed. But like anytime we would just always like walk through the streets and be rhyming, and it was just like camp, like old school camp. So Allie also she's a body confidence coach, and so together we both separately owned businesses in this wellness world. And so we would always go to like different retreats and different things like all the time. So one day, the camp director of the sleepaway camp that we both went to, Facebook messaged both of us, and he was like, "Hello, like I see that you both go to these retreats all the time. I just wanted to let you know you could bring a yoga retreat to Camp Tawanda." And Allie and I sat down, and because we got it at the same time because we were away on retreat together. And we sat down and we're like, a yoga retreat. Actually, let's blow this out. And let's not do a 30-person yoga retreat, but let's put on a full-on camp. And we came up with the name immediately. Like, we have like the email exchange that like we came up with Soul Camp. And we stepped into this vibration, and I can't even describe it, but like we stepped into this vibration where we felt how big the energy of it was, right? Like before we did it, before anything, we just felt like this is really big. This is a really big energy. And we met at Jivan Mukti Cafe at Union Square, and we wrote a list of all of the instructors that we wanted there. And then we wrote a list of, okay, what companies have the name Soul in them? Soul Pancake, Huffington Post, GPS for the Soul. Like, we just wrote stuff down. We wrote it. Hopefully you see me still. Or hopefully you can.
I lost you for a second.
You
Hang
hear
on
me?
a sec. I don't have any video, but it's coming back.
Okay, but do you hear me? Because I'm going to just keep talking.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, there you are. So we reached out to 40 different instructors, and we said, come to this camp. We've never done this before. It's going to be freaking awesome. Can't tell you anything else. We have no picture or video. But, like, it's going to be so fun, and we want you there. And we can't pay you. And we can't pay for you to come. And everyone said yes.
Oh, my God.
It was like, yes, 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 yes. It was like, I can't, the only person who said no, like, had her baby was expected to come out, and she's coming this year. So it was just, everyone said yes overwhelmingly. And as soon as we got that feedback, it was like, it's go time. So, I have a friend over at Huffington Post, GPS for the Soul, over at Huffington Post, and I just called them and was like, this is a really great opportunity for Huffington Post. And instead of them being like, well, no, it's not, actually, like, you've never done this before, and we got on the phone and it was a yes. And, like, Huffington Post became our sponsor and, like, would advertise for us. And it just felt like everything was a yes. Like, we reached out to all of these, like, pop chips, pretzel crisps, like, anything we could think of, everyone is a yes. Yes, we'll be there. Yes, we'll send. Yes, yes, yes. So Allie and I were just like, this is unbelievable. And we knew that, like, bringing together 40 of, like such incredible speakers and teachers and workshop leaders, we knew that there was going to be such massive transformation that took place. And But what we didn't know that was going to happen was that the bonds that were connected. I'll never forget. I was like driving around in a golf cart, and I saw a group of like 50-year-old women, probably like 7 of them, like in a huddle, like laughing hysterically. And I drove my golf cart over, and I was like, what's so funny, you guys? It's like, fill me in. And they were like, oh, you wouldn't understand. It's a bunk 6 thing. And these are women who like came not knowing anyone, who just came, like we had so many people who just came. They read everything that it was, and they were like, I don't have this community, like you, like I'm in a spiritual, closet, and like I so want to be a part of this stuff, but like I don't have any access. I have no friends like involved. And they just came and they met their best friends at Soul Camp. And we had people, from their mid-20s all the way up to their mid-70s. And the transformation that took place, like we had someone who immediately after Soul Camp quit her job, moved from Miami to New York. We had someone, her husband, someone getting gastric bypass, completely changing her life. Like these unbelievable stories that we're hearing afterwards. But more so than anything, it's like the community that came together and, to support each other was just so amazing. And like I go to so many different retreats and events that is about like, what is your passion? Get your passion out into the world. And like, that's not what Soul Camp is at all. What Soul Camp has nothing to do with what you're doing out in the world and what you're creating and how you're getting it out there. And, success has nothing to do with any of that. They're incredible speakers, friends of mine who talk about conscious money and talk about creating a conscious business. No, it was like none of that, even if it's conscious, even if it's like, no, we want Soul Camp to be all about play, all about going inward. We don't want anyone talking about what they do or like who they are out into the world. Like none of that. That was all completely off the table. We wanted people to come and really connect on a level that had nothing to do really with like who they are as adults out in the world. That's not what we wanted. We wanted people to come and like talk about what they love and like what they wanted to be and like, just things that have nothing to do with like the outward world. And that's really what we created. And like that's what we will always have. That's what Soul Camp will always be. No alcohol, no drugs, no nothing. Not if you get caught with beer, you get kicked out of camp. Like we run it just like a sleepaway camp. And the conversation is never about business or clients or none of that. It's just about like, how can I love myself even more? How can I create like the feeling in my life that I love? Danielle Laporte, who's just so wonderful and great, she created a whole movement based on what are your core desired feelings that you want to feel every day, having nothing to do with what you do or what you create, but what do you want to feel? Is it freedom? Is it passion? So we like just really created a camp all about having people tap into that and begin to feel that. So anyway, it's so amazing. It's so magical. Like the next year's camp is going to be bananas, like, because everyone wants to be a part of it. And the people, I mean, like, I'll just say for one, like, here's like an example that we just like confirmed today. One of my favorite jewelry companies, Satya, it's like I don't know if you've ever, it's like malas and like it's an amazing jewelry company. It's beautiful, incredible. The founder of Satya is going to come to Soul Camp and teach a whole mala making workshop. Like that's like one example of like the type of people who are going to be there and teaching, and it's going to be awesome. So this year we're having 2. We're having one in September back at Camp Tawanda where we had it last year, September 9th through 13th. And we're having one in California. We're coming to California. So we're having one in California October 28th through 31st. And it's at this magical place called Wonder Valley, which is in between San Francisco and LA. And like the instructors and the teachers that we're getting from out in California are like amazing. And it's such a different vibe than like the New York area, but it's incredible. really, it's amazing. I'm so excited. Allie and I are so excited for California.
Wow. I can't even believe that. I was laughing because you sound like my kids. mostly mostly my oldest. She does that to us a lot because we work from home actually too. And my husband and I have been together over 20 years, but we're always creating. We're always talking about work because it's kind of blended. It's like all like one and the same. So, and she'll give us instructions like your soul camp. She'll be, first of all, they're the ones who got us not to drink. So, I mean, we haven't drank in probably close to 4 years, actually. That's a whole nother story. But no alcohol.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's the same way. She'll say, okay, you are not allowed to look at your phone, talk about work, it's time to color, or it's time to play. It's time to play a board game, and you are not allowed to talk about doing. It's just about being, and they're like our greatest inspirational teachers of that stuff. And you sound exactly like that, and I think that's so beneficial to humanity because we get so caught up in it. I mean, we never get a break. It's like we have to really try hard, right, to not. Because even if you're like laying in bed or you're just going for a morning walk, you just end up checking your email, or you know what I mean? Like it's really hard to pull away nowadays.
That like our task while here on the planet is to remember that those are not real and that's not true. So anyway, it's a big passion of mine for sure, like that, this whole conversation. And to kind of wake people up to like how loved they are at all times. Having nothing to do with anything else, just because they are, So I'm so grateful that through what I do for a living, what I do to make money, like I'm able to do that and like have that conversation, because that's a conversation that I have all the time with everyone in and out of the office. So yeah, I don't know how I kind of went off on a tangent there.
No. I love it. I love it. I can totally relate, and I think. Yeah, it's so important. And to be honest with you, as you're talking, I'm thinking, God, I'm so grateful that you exist in the world. Me being a mom to 2 daughters and knowing, how I grew up and what I, have gone through in my lifetime. And, my biggest dream is making sure that they don't have to do as much, recovery and unlearning and self-help that we've all had to go through. I'm not exactly sure your age. I don't know if you want to tell it, but I just turned 41. And so, but for me, I have spent years and years and years, probably the last 20 years, recovering and helping myself to think differently and change all those thoughts that you mentioned that are embedded inside of me, trying to unlearn all of them, So we're trying to raise two girls that are going to grow into women who hopefully don't have to work as hard to remove a lot of their programming. Just because we have higher awareness about it. So everybody has their challenges, and I think everybody's going to have it. But I love what you're talking about. I love what you do, and I love how you tie it all together, to bring your work to that event of Soul Camp. And I can't believe you're going to have 2 of them now.
Me neither. Me neither. No, but it's going to be great. And like, I'm so lucky that like, Allie and I are able to really support each other, because like it's scary, like it's amazing and incredible and terrifying to put on 2 humongous things. And like we've never done anything in California. We're not from California. Like so much of our community is here. So just to kind of like put a step forward and say, you know what, we're doing this. We're expanding, because this energy is one that expands. And to just move forward and really walk our talk in that way is scary. But like, again, we just are so able to remind each other, because one of us seems to always forget, and at the time that the other one is remembering. But like, remember that like this is a humongous energy that we just have the privilege of shuffling forward. Right? Like, this has nothing to do with me or Allie, or this has to do with like this incredible Soul Camp energy that we have the great honor to help move out into the world. And that, it will with ease. And like, just reminding ourselves like, maybe it won't be what we thought it will be. Maybe it won't look like how we thought it would. Maybe, our musician will cancel, or maybe this will happen. But like, this is all part of it. And like, everything that's happening is happening for us, not to us. And all of this, every single cancellation or every single hiccup or every single delay is divine, and to really just keep going back to that and keep trusting that. Because it's so easy to be like, the website was supposed to launch X amount of time ago. But, to remind ourselves that it's all perfect timing, as it always was, as it always will be. And like, we are so guided. This soul camp is so guided. And just to keep remembering that. So I'm just so grateful to have Allie to remind me when I forget, and, vice versa, of course. But yeah, it's big. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to talk to her. We should have had her on. That would probably be amazing. I think that's so cool that you have each other. My husband and I work together in that same way. And, even if it's challenging or it's stressful or it's really scary, we each have to be the person that picks the other one up and prana boosts the other one when the other one's down, and we each take turns falling. And if we fall on the same day, that's just not good. So, but I mean, to have somebody like that who you trust and that you're just so in alignment with, that you can trust this, this energy to come through both of you with, is beautiful. It's perfectly divine how you guys met and brought it together. And I think that energy is going to just, explode on the scene. When people get there, they're going to feel it. And you're right. To be honest with you, I'm having those emotions right now because, I was kind of anxious to start a podcast. And I'm looking right now and I don't see you. I see your picture. So my ego's going, there's no video. Oh my God, there's the video. Okay, so what I was telling you is that I'm trying to release my attachment to this being perfect and this going well. And I was like, I can't see your video. I see your photo and it's beautiful, but you're not there and I don't know what's happening. And it's funny because I've done, I think you're my fourth one now, and I never had any type of problem with the connection or the video. And you're like telling me, you're like, it's all divine and you can't be attached and let's surrender, and I'm like, blah, 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 it's not working.
Because I'm so much like you, like stuff like that, totally. So it's probably our two energies coming together and the universe being like, okay, two birds, one stone,
It's funny. Oh my God.
But yeah, I feel like it's now going out.
Okay, good. Well, I heard everything you said and I'm so excited about what you shared, and I love your personal journey and your story on the way to this path. And my God, I think you're just going to be shifting. You are shifting so many lives with what you're doing, and this is a huge responsibility. So thank goodness you understand all that, and you understand the, divineness of bringing it through you, though it's not, it's not supposed to be controlled. It's supposed to be divine.
Yes.
However we end up piecing this together, we'll find out and see what we got recorded. But I'm glad you're back. So, anyway, what do you think is like your biggest vision for, just for the future? For you just think about, I mean, you're already expanding Soul Camp, and do you guys have a vision for?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the vision for Soul Camp is that we have Soul Camps all over the place. That we have Soul Camp in Chicago. That's like actually the next place that we're looking to expand. That we just have these camps everywhere that highlights the different people in that area who are doing amazing things and teaching. And like, so that it's not even like people, come to the camp and then we're like, oh, well, that person's in, New York City and whatever, but like it's local, so that we start having these camps all over the place highlighting incredible local instructors and teachers. And then we start having like Soul Camp on the Sea and Soul Camp Costa Rica. Like that's kind of like where we're going with all of it. But the ultimate goal, and I don't even know how it's going to look or how it's going to happen, is just to keep waking people up to who they really are. And getting people to surround themselves with a like-minded community, to be able to do the things in their life that they want to. So really just keep creating amazing, loving, nurturing community everywhere we go, through camp, through whatever else happens. I have no idea. It's like, people ask me all the time, like, what is it? What's going to happen? Like, what is your path? Are you going to have a book? Like, are you going to go with Hay House? Like, what is it going to be? And I'm like, I have no freaking idea. If you asked me a year ago if I was going to be the director of mind, body, spirit, sleepaway camps, I would never in a million years think that. So I have no idea what's going to happen. But what I do know is that whatever it is, my mission as a person is to just continue waking people up. So people like you who have children are able to teach their children to be to love themselves so much, and how loved they are. And it's a, especially for girls, and especially for stuff with, my struggle always is body image and eating stuff, and so that's always such a passion of mine, just totally. So that's the big vision, is to just continue to wake people up, to the love that they are and that they have, through camp and through books and through speaking and through brand and through whatever else. That's the goal.
I love it. I had a girl that came yesterday to my workshop, and she looked like she was like a little scared mouse. She was so afraid to be there. She almost seemed like she was sneaking away to do something just bad almost. And she was so uncertain. And when I talked to her afterwards, I said, it's okay. It just, you just need baby steps. But I love a quote by Gabby Bernstein that she once said, and she said, "Find people who will be your wings while you grow your own." And I've always remembered that quote, because I think it's so important to have a support system when you're going through it. Because I know, honestly, the last 15 years, my husband and I really haven't. We kind of went the other way. We kind of became very isolated because we already worked for ourselves. So we were together and we were home and we had each other. So we didn't really need other people to talk to, but it would have been nice.
Right.
Yeah. And then having the kids, we raised our kids. We have been raising them so differently. That's what I'm kind of coming out of the closet about too, and teaching and sharing. And it's really based on feeling your way through parenting and having a family and through life, and it's all connection based. Like if my child would start crying, my husband would, we would try to fix it or solve it, and I would say, it doesn't matter what happened, it just matters now that they're disconnected, and we have to find a way to bring them back to themselves before you can even discuss what happened. And so all that discussion of Soul Camp reminds me, so I created a program called Prana Boost CPR, and it's managing emotional emergencies, because I think that we take physical emergencies very seriously. You know what to do if you see somebody drop to the floor, but if you see somebody freak out in regular life, or it's just an emotional outburst, and it's adults who are doing it, it's not just children. They need comfort. That's the thing. It's comfort, pause, and reconnect. And so that's my dream. And same thing is to wake people up and remind them, to who they are and the divinity inside all of us. And it's just, you're providing them with an environment to do that, where people might not do that at home. They're immersed in it, and it's beautiful. So I love what you're doing with the agency. I love your story on the way to it, and I love what you created with Soul Camp. Yeah, I can't wait to hear more. I would love to talk to you more about it, because I think it's just phenomenal. But I was also saying, I don't know if you heard me. I think we got cut off, but I thought it would have been cool to have Allie on the call, your partner for Soul Camp.
I did hear that. We'll do another one.
We'll have to do like a part 2 that maybe, we will not have like technology glitches or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, so thank you so much for being on the show and sharing all your information. I will have links to everything for you, all social media, all information about your soul camps and signing up, and as well as your agency and how people can contact you to build their dreams and their brands and their vision. So thank you so much, Michelle. Namaste.
Thank you.